Hello everyone. Welcome to this tutorial on Python's break and continue statements. In this video, we're going to explore how to control the flow of execution in your loops. These are essential tools for writing efficient and clean Python code. Let's discuss loop control in Python. We will be covering these topics in the video. Firstly, understanding loops in Python. Secondly, we'll dive into the break statement. Then we'll explore the continue statement. Lastly, we'll look at some practical examples. But why is loop control important? It lets you efficiently manage loop execution. It handles exceptions and edge cases. It optimizes performance. Ultimately, it helps you create more readable code. Let's explore the break statement in Python. What exactly is break? Break immediately exits the current loop. It terminates the loop completely, skipping any remaining iterations. It's particularly useful when you've found what you're looking for and don't need to continue. Here's an example. In a for loop iterating from 1 to 9, if the variable I equals 5, the break statement is triggered. Consequently, the loop terminates prematurely. The output will be 1, 2, 3, and 4. Here's a practical example of using break. In this case, finding a value in a list. This example searches for a specific value in a list and stops once found. Breaking out early improves efficiency by avoiding unnecessary iterations. Here's a function called findElement that takes a list of items and a target value. It iterates through the items, and if the item matches the target, it sets found to true, records the position, and then breaks out of the loop. This function then returns whether the item was found and its position. For example, if you search for the number 30 in the list 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, the function will return true in the index 2 because 30 is at the second index in the list. Now let's talk about the continue statement. What is continue? Continue skips the current iteration of a loop. The loop doesn't terminate, but immediately jumps to the next iteration. It is useful for skipping specific elements while processing the rest of the collection. For example, consider a for loop that iterates through numbers from 1 to 9. If the number is even, the continue statement is executed, skipping the print statement for that number. As a result, the output will only include odd numbers, which are 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9. Let's look at a practical example using continue. Here we're processing data with exceptions. This example processes a list of numbers, but skips negative values. Using continue lets us handle exceptions without nesting multiple if statements. In this example, there is a function called processPositiveNumbers that takes a list of numbers as input. For each number in the list, it checks if the number is less than 0. If it is, it continues to the next number, effectively skipping negative numbers. Otherwise, it processes the positive number by multiplying it by 2, and appends the result to a list. Finally, it returns the list of processed positive numbers. So, with the data 5, -2, 10, -7, and 3, the processed result would be 10, 20, and 6. Now let's see how we can combine both break and continue statements. Here's the complex example of password validation. This example validates passwords against multiple criteria. It combines continue to skip invalid passwords and break to exit when a valid one is found. Consider a function validate password that takes a list of passwords. It iterates through each password. If the password is less than 8 characters, it skips to the next password using continue. It then checks for an uppercase letter. If an uppercase letter is found, it breaks out of the inner loop. If there's no uppercase letter, it continues to the next password. If both conditions are met, the function returns the valid password. Otherwise, it returns no valid password found. Let's summarize best practices and common mistakes when using break and continue. As for best practices, use break when you've found what you're looking for. Use continue to skip unwanted values. Always add comments explaining why you're breaking or continuing. Consider using functions to improve readability. And use meaningful variable names for clarity. As for common mistakes, avoid breaking from the wrong level in nested loops. Don't use break when continue would be more appropriate. Overusing these statements makes code harder to read. Remember that break only exits the innermost loop. And avoid placing unreachable code after a break statement. If you like this video, hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe. Visit codelucky.com for more such useful content.